Okay. Hello, all, and welcome to episode 11 of the Pacific Perspectives Podcast. I am Nux Memes, joined as always with the one, the only Kyler Miyamoto Xavier. And we're just going to get right into it. It's just the two of us this episode, finally. First time in 4 weeks. It's been just us two. And I think it's a good week for that because I have way too much to say about the Canucks to let anybody else speak their mind on their teams. With that being said, though, I'm going to pass it over to Xavier, whose team just played the Senators. How are you feeling about the Oilers right now, Xavier?
You know, it was a great game against the Senators. I mean, that was a game where absolutely nothing was happening. It looked like it looked like to me the Senators just wanted to get home, which, like, fair to them. You know, the Oilers have had a homestand right before they go to Christmas, so they're basically going to have been at home for like 2.5 weeks here. That's a pretty good deal for the holidays. For the holidays. Freudian slip.
Freudian slip. Yeah.
He's always on the mind. I got a Christmas candle going here. It's cinnamon. Let me just light it up I'm gonna do some ASMR here.
Oh, while you're doing that, to mention the elephant in the room, yes, that is a Red Wings flag. It is there because it's much better than the alternative of concrete. As
guy's actually living in prison right now. I don't know.
I am in a prison cell, so Red Wings flag is the background for today. I really like how your background has been so consistent, and mine has just...
Because it's in my room. You record at home, you record in your basement, you record in your living... Like, I don't even understand. You got different wall flags?
I mean, I'm in a different city. I have the normal setup, but I'm not going to be there for a couple weeks, so we're dealing with this. Anyway, keep going with the Oilers.
I'm a static guy. What can I say? Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're just underrated, and I think people are finally starting to realize they are top 5 in every single defensive metric. The Ekholm-Bouchard pairing, in spite of just, frankly, stupid giveaways from Bouchard. And Nurse earlier in the year having similar plays. They give absolutely no high danger chances tonight. I could not tell you that there was more than 2 against the Senators. I think they gave up like 22 shots, and prior to them pulling the goalie, it was like 17. So it's just ridiculous. Every single night they hold other teams pretty consistently. Like, they're not making ridiculously good defensive plays. They just consistently always hold the zone, always back guys off, and they always give their goalies a chance. Which is why it's so frustrating. Some of the goals that Skinner and Pickard let in are usually the low danger type instead of just a straight breakaway or anything like that. But, I mean, the goalies have played fine. The defense has played this good all year. This is just the goalies have finally started saving the easy ones. Nurse is a legitimate number 2 defenseman again. Didn't expect to say that, considering how awful he was in the playoffs. But if he can be a force in the playoffs, we could... I mean, I don't want to say anything, but if you think about how awful... I mean, Nurse was relegated to the bottom pair during the playoffs last year. If he can be what he's doing right now, be a legit number 2 defenseman and drive his pair, I mean, it's the cup. It's the cup if they score like how they did in the playoffs last year. Although I will say the power plays kind of sucked. That's my really only qualm with this team is the penalty kill is good, defense is good, they're scoring at 5v5 a lot, but the power play just, I don't even know what's wrong with it. It's like teams have figured it out and they have no idea they can't adjust. I don't know, which is strange considering it's McDavid and Draisaitl, right? But I don't know.
I tuned into the game yesterday. I watched like part of the game today, but I wasn't like locked in on it. I watched yesterday's game against San Jose, and I found it so funny because it felt like the Oilers were trolling the whole game just to tie it with 17 seconds left and then win it in overtime immediately. It was so funny.
I've seen that game happen so many times. They play really good against bad teams, but have like 1 or 2 plays, or the goalie lets one in. And then they just tie it up and they win it in overtime. And it's like, well, you only beat the Sharks, or you only beat the Ducks, or you only beat the Senators. But, I mean, they absolutely dominated the Sharks. Everybody saw that. I'm a proud Yaroslav Askarov fantasy owner, by the way. Great pickup. And I hope he stays.
So
Vanacek, rip Bozo, but, got to do what you got to do.
I can't believe people think that San Jose lost the Blackwood deal when they don't need him at all. And I'm not saying that, I'm not saying Colorado lost. I think both teams got what they needed out of it, but I can't believe people think that San Jose lost when Askarov is clearly the goalie of the future.
Yeah, I mean,
he's gonna be so good.
Blackwood, he was not going to re-sign there. He just wasn't. Why would you stay in San Jose when you're, at this point, you're a legit tandem goalie? I'll give him that. He's not going to be a starting goalie just based off of 1 year, but definitely a good tandem goalie. And I mean, they get Kovalenko back in that deal. They get a second round pick. I don't think anyone else was going to pay more than that. I mean, I wanted Blackwood, but was I going to give up, just for example, like Skinner and a second? Probably not. Colorado was just in such a unique situation where they could give up Georgiev and a couple other pieces, and they really had to. So I think it works out for everybody there,
We're straying from the subject. Do you have anything else to say about the Oilers before I go off?
I don't even. I mean, they're good. I seriously cannot complain. They haven't really given me anything to complain about. I mean, we had a fake meltdown early in the year. I thought it might have been over, but yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
Okay, great. I have a lot to complain about, but I'm gonna start off with the good that has happened since our last episode, which is the game against Colorado. Now that was a great game. We were honoring Rick Rippon. On that specific day, you need to have a good performance, and they had that. And they had that from a grinder. You guys might have heard me mention his name once or twice. He goes by the name of Kiefer Sherwood, who managed to score a hat trick. And that second goal that he scored, our only shorthanded goal of the year, he picks McKinnon off, and then he burns Makar. I mean, that's beautiful. That's just beautiful. Now, I had a lot of people saying, we need a reenactment of your reaction to the Sherwood hat trick on the pod. And when I read that, I thought, what would be better is if I just recorded my reaction right now and played it on the pod so that you guys got my original thoughts instead of waiting a week. Which ended up being a good thing given the other 3 games the Canucks played between that and now. I don't have much excitement left in me. So I'm gonna play this clip, and Xavier, I'm so sorry, you might have to edit some of this out, but here it is. Okay, I want to record this now, right after Sherwood has scored the hat trick, so that we can get my first thoughts, while I'm still hyped up, instead of waiting a week to hear them while we're recording the podcast. So I just want to say, oh my good fucking Lord, I'm so hard right now. It's insane. I'm so hard. I can't even believe it. I didn't know that I could grow to this length. I mean, a fucking hat trick for Kiefer Sherwood? Are you fucking kidding me? God damn. If I were to walk right into a wall right now, I think I'd have to go to a hospital. I think I'd break my dick off. So that's how I felt about the Kiefer Sherwood hat trick. That should come as no surprise to anyone. I actually screamed like a girl and jogged around my basement when he scored the empty netter to cap it off. That was beautiful. But this was not a good week to be a Canucks fan at all. Because the rift, or supposed rift, between Miller and Pettersson was growing more prominent. And they were playing absolute ass games. So starting with the game against Utah, that was actually a big game. I know it's early, and it's weird to call games like these big games, but Utah's tracking us down in the standings. Utah's playing great recently, and I really wanted to win this one to put some distance between us, because now's the time where you want to put some distance between yourself and some of the other teams. But they have a 2-goal lead in the third, and they just blow it. I think you can blame the refs on the second goal Utah scored, where, I mean, it probably wasn't. It shouldn't have been a power play for them, but still, you got to kill that off. And then in overtime, what does JT Miller do? Not back check, and Utah scores with 15 seconds left. And then we go to the next day against Vegas, and they might be a bit tired. Okay, sure. They score 1 goal, and then they do nothing the rest of the game. And I actually laughed at the end of the game It was 2-1 Vegas. We pulled our goalie. It took us like 2 minutes longer than it should have to pull our goalie. But we finally pulled our goalie, turned over the puck immediately. Vegas scores. I actually giggled. I sat in my chair and I giggled. And then cut to Saturday night versus Ottawa. A very good Ottawa team recently. 5 straight wins going into that game. What the fuck happened in that game? What the fuck was that? They scored twice. We scored twice because Quinn Hughes is insane. Then they scored, and then we scored, and then they scored, and then we scored. And I mean, the shorthanded goal by Josh Norris.
It's happening again.
Wonderful play by the Sens. What the fuck is JT Miller doing? JT Miller and
just leave it like that the rest of the way.
Pardon?
Just leave it like that the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's just gonna stay like that. When the Canucks power play started, JT Miller and Josh Norris were both standing at center ice, and by the end of the play, Josh Norris was burying the puck, and JT Miller was standing at center ice. You cut to overtime, it's 4-4. I'm livid because none of the defense has played well. They can't clear the puck. They can't move the puck. Besides Quinn, who's having like the game of his life. He has 3 points at this time in the game. Nobody else on the team is playing well. No forwards are playing well. He's doing everything, and he's willed us to overtime. 14 seconds in, JT Miller gets burned, fails to back check, and we lose an OT. What is happening? Why does JT Miller not care again? It's not like we're as bad as we were in 2022-23. We're a good team. We're still in a playoff spot, and he's not putting in the effort anymore. And it's so frustrating. But it's not only his fault, because Pettersson has 0 points in 6 games. Besser isn't doing enough either. He scored twice yesterday. I still thought he played bad. The defense. Do you want to give me the stat you told me about Susie before we recorded?
Yeah. So we'll have a discussion later about Quinn Hughes and the Hart. But while I was checking that, on the other end of the spectrum, expected goals 4% relative to the team. You know who's last among defensemen?
Well, I think they know because I started this off by saying...
Soucy. Carson Soucy is dead last. He is tied with Simone Benoit, which is a little funny, but you want to be tied with. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
But you look at the rest of the defense too. Quinn is playing with Tyler Myers, who's been having just a string of awful games. When Hronek first went out, Myers was good, but Myers is back to being bad. The second pairing is that aforementioned Carson Soucy, who's one of the worst defensemen in the league this season, with Noah Juleson, who's one of the worst defensemen in the league this season.
All seasons, not just.
And then you get Derek. The bottom pairing was Derek Forbert, who's barely played, and when he's played, has been one of the worst defensemen in the league this season. And then Vinny Desharnais, who's one of the worst defensemen in the league this season. Like, what is... I miss Hronek so much. Why is Brandstrom not in the lineup? What the fuck is happening?
You know, people were really complaining about Hronek before he went in, but the monkey's paw curled.
He was terrible at the start of the season. He was definitely a liability, but I warmed up to him before he got injured. I thought he was playing great before he got injured, and he was amazing. And then he got injured, and it's really shown how much we need Filip Hronek, because, like, holy hell, nobody can play besides Quinn. I had someone comment yesterday that Tyler Myers is our second best defenseman right now, and that's how you know we're in trouble. And I replied to that comment saying, Quinn Hughes is our second best defenseman. Quinn Hughes is also our best defenseman. There are no other defensemen on this team. Which is just what's happening. He's also... After we lost in overtime, I had a fucking meltdown on my live stream because I was home alone and I figured it's a perfect excuse to scream into my phone for 10 minutes. I brought up a great point, which is that our best forward is Quinn Hughes, and he's a defenseman.
On a team with Elias Pettersson and 100-point JT Miller.
And 40-goal Brock Besser.
It's pretty sad. Not gonna lie.
DeBrusk's still pretty good. Garland's trying. Obviously, I love Sherwood.
Garland is there. I gotta say.
Heinen is terrible. Heinen started off the season so well. He had like 9 points in the first 17 games or something. He's done nothing since. Linus Karlsson's playing third-line minutes over Kiefer Sherwood. Linus Karlsson can't play.
Wait, Kiefer Sherwood is still on the fourth line?
currently, but he's getting more minutes than Linus Karlsson, but he's on the fourth line with Bluger and Heinen, both of which are not having good seasons.
Ooh.
And you could put him with Suter, who's having a good season, and Joshua, who's been getting better. And why would you not have that line together? Why is that not a line that's happening right now? You know who's playing with Miller and Besser right now?
Nils Oman.
Phil DiGiuseppe.
Is Phil... Really? He's still on the team?
You know what's funny about that is that I actually kind of like it. He had a great game yesterday. He was probably the only forward on the team I wasn't pissed at yesterday.
PDG is still on the team. I feel like he's been a meme for like 5 years.
He started the season in the AHL because he was the odd man out, and then he got injured, and now he's up, and Rick Tocchet has a boner for him, so PDG will be in the lineup for, I think, the foreseeable future. But
he's honestly, that.
He's not like that bad. But he is playing with Miller and Besser, and you'd ideally want someone who isn't Phil DiGiuseppe to play with Miller and Besser.
You'd imagine, right?
Although he's better currently, especially better than Miller. I like it's. It's just so stupid. Why can't Miller and Pettersson play?
You know, where is Nils Oman right now? I know. Wait. Come on. Stop clip farming. This guy is clip farming. What happened to Nils Oman? What happened to Nils Oman?
He's in the AHL. He's doing pretty well in the AHL too. I don't mind him on the fourth line. He's low impact, but I mean I like him more on the NHL level than I like Linus Karlsson. I think he's like Linus Karlsson does absolutely nothing. Nils Oman has a good defensive game. He's not really an NHL player, but like replacement level player, I'm fine with him. I don't know. I mean, we clearly need some help in quite a few areas of our lineup, but we're still a good team. Like we're still. It's kind of.
Are they a good team though? Are they?
Okay, the numbers hate us. Defensively, somehow we're incredible. But
yeah, defensively they're actually good.
We have some incredible defensive forwards. The defensive analytics of our team are no thanks to the actual defense, besides obviously Quinn Hughes. Because, like, we have some of the worst defensemen analytically in the league, and yet our defensive analytics are still good because we have, like, DeBrusk, Suter, Bluger, Pettersson, Miller when he tries. Besser's good defensively too. Dakota Joshua Garland. Like, we have some really good defensive forwards. Unfortunately, our offensive numbers are... Actually, I think like in terms of expected goals for per 60, I think that was the stat. I'm pretty sure we're second last and second only to them.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny how bad the Red Wings are this year. Like they got significantly worse, but that's got nothing to do with the Canucks. How are they possibly the second worst team at like generating offense, considering where they were last year? I mean, they were lucky offensively for sure, but only by like a few places. They have to be at worst a top 16 offensive team. It's got to be like coaching or like chemistry. It's not the personnel.
Tocchet's definitely been under quite a bit of fire recently for some of his decisions, and you know he's not adapting a whole lot. Like, I mean, his lines are dumb.
Coach of the year,
and a lot of the problem. Not a lot of the problem, but a lot of people have pointed out the dumping and chasing, where we just kind of give the other team the puck and barely forecheck, and then just let them break out of the zone really easily. We don't get shots either. It's crazy. Like he tries so hard to get us like we emphasize scoring chances over actually just shooting the puck on net and seeing what happens, which can be good sometimes. But you don't want to end the game with 18 shots on net, which is what we always do. It's so frustrating. And like we're due for one period every game where we just have like 3 shots and that's it. It's so frustrating.
I don't think I could watch a hockey team like that, and I'm thankful for that because the Oilers are first in shots. How about that? That? It really it's a tale of two teams here. I mean, just complete opposite. Well, not opposites, I'd say, but I mean the Canucks, man. You like, first of all, do you buy this whole Pettersson Miller thing? I'm a little curious.
It's really confusing me right now, especially with the interviews, the 4 interviews that have happened in the past 2 days with Tocchet, Quinn, Miller, Pettersson. Tocchet and Quinn, both of them were like, yes, this is a problem, but they're going to work it out and we're going to be fine. Miller and Pettersson both said, there's no problem at all. Like, Miller said, I'll bring PD out if that makes you happy. Pettersson was like, oh my God, you guys keep talking about this? Like, is it a problem? Is it not? The thing with like Miller saying, do you want me to bring PD out? Yes, I want you to bring PD out and do the interview with PD so that we can see that you guys actually don't hate each other.
They have a press release, like stand side by side, like they just signed.
I think that
podium.
They are mature enough. I want to hope they will be mature enough to not let this be more of a problem. Like Quinn and Tocchet both said that it's been affecting the locker room, and they both say it's not a problem. I think that it'll work itself out. They just have to remember that they're coworkers. They're not friends. I'm not in some fantasy land where it's like, I want all of the players on my team to be going bowling every weekend and like hanging out at each other's houses and building pillow forts.
Like it's Be a Pro.
I want them to show up to work, and I want them to work with their coworkers and get their job done. Now, I'm assuming you've had coworkers that you hate. I've had coworkers I don't get along with. I've had awkward situations with coworkers, but it's always the job first. And you can still get the job done. And I'm not making $11.7 million or $8 million a year to put up with a coworker that I don't like. So,
frankly, you know what? From an outside perspective, here's the thing. I do not buy that this is like a legitimate problem. I totally buy that they don't like each other. But like you said, you got to get the job done. If this is genuinely a reason for why they're playing bad, you trade both of them instantly. You trade both of them. I don't care how good they can be. You trade them both and you completely change the complexion. That might be radical, but you are such a baby if because you don't like a teammate or like you're having a fight with a teammate. Look what the Blues did. They fought each other in practice. So there's I think a couple guys have gone on record saying they like genuinely did not like parts of that team. They traded away people on that team. And that's what I mean. Trade away the people who have that kind of attitude. It's not good for I don't care how good they are. It honestly doesn't matter. If you are baby if you are letting that get to you. It's not that deep. I think you either let it play on for a little bit and see if it gets better, or you trade them both. You don't take a side. You trade them both.
I would not want to trade them both.
You have more of an emotional attachment to these players. I'll just say that. I do.
I don't think there would be any point in trading both of them. I don't want to trade either of them, first of all. I'm going to say that. I believe in them having the ability to work this out. I don't want to trade either of them. I think they're both like they could be cup potential winning players. If it came to it, obviously I'd want Miller to go.
But I'm saying if I'm not saying they should go because I don't buy that it's a reason for their lack of success as players. But if it actually was, and it was like, man, I don't want to play because Miller is on the team, or I don't want to be on the power play because Miller's on the power play. Screw yourself. Just get off the team instantly. If that happened to like Draisaitl, he'd be gone. I don't care.
There's just so much stuff pointing towards it actually being an issue. Like Bruce Boudreau said that it was a problem when he was the coach there, and he thought that it had been solved. The PD's production, it's actually stupid. Miller was gone when he took the leave of absence. He was gone for 10 games. And Pettersson had 15 points in those 10 games. And in the 6 games since Miller's been back, he has 0 points.
That's
that can't be coincidence.
You know what? And now that you mention it,
it's just so confusing to me. I don't want to feed fuel to this fire because they're clearly pissed off at it, and I don't want to make it more of an issue than it is. I'm just pointing out facts. I believe in their ability to work it out on the remix. I think it's going to be fine. You got to have some adversity like this. I've mentioned that a couple times on this podcast. So they just need to figure it out. I mean, Dakota Joshua, Connor Garland fought at practice before last season, like in the preseason, and now they're like best buds working at Tim Hortons together. So I think they can figure it out. It's just so frustrating right now to watch both of them. Pettersson's at least trying on the defensive end. Miller is getting some production. They're not playing up to their salaries at all, and if it's actually causing rifts in the locker room, then something has to happen. They need a couples therapist.
A couples therapist. It's just, this has been going on for, I want to say 3 years now. Would that be correct? Have I got the timeline right?
I would say like 2. It would have happened the 2022-23 season, I think, is where it might have started stemming from, especially because Bruce was still there. But there were the rumors of Miller like tearing apart the locker room, and people had to choose a side between him and Bo Horvat.
Yeah, that's fantasy. That's fantasy. That
wasn't true.
There's no way.
It's clear Miller has had some problems getting along with people. I mean, we always think of the Delia incident in Winnipeg where he slammed his stick on the net to tell Delia to go to the bench while Delia was just waiting for the coach to call him over. I mean, it's just so weird when he does stuff like that and then also fails to do a simple back check and just put effort in. So he pisses me off a lot of the time. I'm not going to sit here and say like, you guys are being too mean to JT Miller. He deserves some criticism for his play right now, but we also have to remember he's coming off of a break and we don't know what the break was all about. So he might still not be in the best headspace. We don't know. I think he actually mentioned it before, like he has bigger things to worry about than Elias Pettersson, which kind of concerns me. So I think I'm just going to hope it's going to all work itself out.
I mean, yeah, there was like rumors of, there's like rumor mill coming out of anything you can think of, like Miller sleeping with Pettersson's girlfriend, Miller sleeping with Demko's.
It was Demko's wife.
Yeah.
Which like, that's so funny.
Like that's hilarious. Yeah, well, obviously it's not. Okay, if there's a rumor like that comes out.
I'm going to say anyway, it's not true, so nobody listening thinks that we think it's true.
I think it's true. I hope it's true, because it would just be hilarious. It would just be absolutely hilarious. Like, why Demko?
I don't know.
He's just picking on him.
We need to win games, and then things will solve itself. I think we need to reunite the Lotto line. If we can just see, like, Pettersson, Miller, Besser on a line together and see if they can cook some stuff up 5-on-5. I think that might be the answer. Honestly, stick them together.
It's true.
Force them to play an entire game together. Bring their chemistry back. I think that could be the answer. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think that could be the answer. And like at that point, you'd have to be running a second line of like DeBrusk, Suter, Garland, which isn't the greatest for a second line, but it's still good. Like, that's fine. We were running Joshua, Suter, Garland, and that was still a good line. Like, I think you can afford to put that line together because they're failing right now on their separate lines. I think at this point, I would want to test it, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Why can't he just sleep with Susie's wife? Can't that? Then they'd have an excuse to trade him, you know?
Susie's just so confusing to me. Like, he's been playing better recently, except for yesterday where he just sucked donkey dick. Like the rest of the defense did besides Quinn. And oh my god, we still have to get into Quinn. Maybe that's the Quinn.
That's a good segue. So
it might be for a different time because I'm writing an article on Quinn right now. I don't want to spoil the entire article. I want people to read it.
Oh, well, I wanted to have a discussion on the Hart just because of one thing I didn't mention for the Oilers is Draisaitl, who I mentioned before, relative expected goals. All situations, he's 12th, so very good. And I mean it's a catch-all stat. It doesn't automatically mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your Hart vote ranking. That's not how it works. But just being kind of in the top 20 of that list, I'd say you should definitely get considered for a Hart, especially when we're talking about relative to a team's success. That might put Draisaitl a bit down because the Oilers are a top 5 team, and they're like number 1 in cup odds. So you're not really saying he's dragging them along, especially when McDavid is there.
Yeah,
I think there's a pretty good chance that both of them never win a Hart again, just because people aren't going to want to give it to McDavid and how good the Oilers are. But my number 1 vote right now, I'd give it to Quinn Hughes. As an Oilers fan, I'd give it to Quinn Hughes. It's nobody else is doing anything else on that team. So that's my take on it.
If we're looking at it as the most valuable to his team, which is what the award says.
Yep.
Like in the past, it's been best player. I mean, sometimes you give it to someone who had like a shit ton of points. But like in the case of Edmonton, you get rid of either Draisaitl or McDavid, they're still probably a playoff team. I mean,
yeah.
So neither one of them alone is the most valuable to their team, I would say, unless the other one had gone out. Quinn Hughes, Kirill Kaprizov, Nikita Kucherov, but Nikita Kucherov's a bit of a stat pattern.
Yeah, if it's true, he doesn't play solid enough defense, and he's a winger too. It's always kind of hard for them to get. But I mean, if McDavid was out another couple weeks, Draisaitl definitely gets nominated. But right now, I'd probably just toss him a number 4 or 5 vote, as good as he's been this last month.
I mean, Sportsnet showed a graphic recently. I don't know where to find the stat, but it was like the highest percentage of goals that a single player had contributed on for their team. And like Quinn Hughes has contributed to 33% of all Canucks goals this season, which is, I think, 4th. And he's a defenseman. Quinn Hughes he's tied for the second highest gap from first to second in terms of points on a team. He's tied for second with Jack Eichel, and number 1 is Kaprizov. But again, Quinn Hughes is a defenseman who has 14 more points than the second highest scorer on the Canucks.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know that. Oh my goodness.
Along with the fact that Hronek's been out for a little bit, we have nobody else who knows how to play defense. And Quinn Hughes is carrying every single aspect of the team right now. That is, to me, what the Hart should be about. If we make playoffs and he's not one of the 3 nominees at least, I'm going to absolutely freak the fuck out.
I really think we do need to go back to... I mean, they seem to have done it maybe last year, considering they picked McKinnon over Kucherov. I really like when it's relative to the team, and that's why I don't think they're going to give McDavid or Draisaitl just because of how good the Oilers are going to be. But like the Taylor Hall Harts, I want to see more Hart years like that.
The Taylor Hall Hart was probably the greatest trophy the NHL has ever given out, because they gave it out based on exactly what the award needs to be. Taylor Hall was not the leading scorer in the NHL that year. I think he was like 5th or something. But he willed the New Jersey Devils into playoffs that season. It was insane. And that's what we could be seeing from Quinn Hughes. Because without Quinn Hughes right now, the Canucks are probably a lottery team with the way their other stars are playing.
I mean, if they gave it to Hughes, it would kind of signify them going back to that, but it's always just whatever the voters feel. And I feel like most of the media has really warmed up to Quinn Hughes being like a good defensive player. And I mean, obviously, if you look at any statistic, you can see that he carries them. The points thing for me and the relative expected goals is really what would catch my eyes with this. You said 12 points above the next guy.
14. He has 40 points. Connor Garland is second, tied with Elias Pettersson at 26.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. That's stupid.
I mean, Cale Makar stat padded another 3 points today. Power play goal, fair enough. But then 2 secondary assists, 1 on an empty net. Go fuck yourself, Cale. If Quinn doesn't win the Norris, at least, anything can happen. There's still like 50 games left. But where we stand right now, if Quinn isn't the favorite for the Norris, then the NHL is a joke.
Well, I mean, I've seen I've seen similar snubs before. But
Also,
we'll move on to the Pacific here.
Wait, I had one more thing to say. If Quinn Hughes doesn't get at least some real serious looks for the Hart, no defenseman is ever winning it again.
That's true. It's just, for me, he's easily number one right now. You know what? Halfway mark, NHL is going to put out the current votes by NHL.com writers for all the awards. They usually do that after Christmas or whatever. That's kind of when you get an idea. If he's not in the top 3 then, he's not winning it.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Pacific right now, I'm going to read off just the standings right now. The Kings lost, and the Oilers won. Every team is kind of sitting around the same games played, so at least the teams in the top. So we're not really thinking about games in hand, but it's 47 points, 22, 8, and 3 for the Vegas Golden Knights. It's 21, 11, and 2 with 44 points for the Edmonton Oilers. And it's 19, 10, and 5 OTL Merchants, LA Kings, 43 points.
Oh, yeah, they're the OTL Merchants. Read the Canucks.
Oh, you're right. 16, 10, and 7 for 39 points. The Canucks actually have more losses than they've won.
It's unwatchable recently. It's terrible.
And now they got a minus goal differential. That's interesting. -1. And the Calgary Flames, they're kind of breathing down your guys' necks. They're tied in points, 16, 11, and 7. The Canucks do have a game in hand. I know I wouldn't talk about it, but 39 points for them. And then the Kraken are just awful, 15, 19, and 2. And you know what's weird about that is people were clowning on them for the Chandler Stevenson, Brandon Montour, those signings. Those guys are they're good. They're doing great. Chandler Stevenson is almost a point per game. Brandon Montour has really good analytics. He's done really good. He's their number one defenseman, and he's honestly, that contract, $7 million, might be a steal for Brandon Montour.
And
I didn't think I'd be saying that.
They have traded for yet another middle six forward.
Another middle six forward to Kraken. You know how it is. I just hate that team. Never get a single Kraken player for fantasy. Not in any serious league. I have Jared McCann. I'm trading that guy immediately. Get him off my. He scored today too, but get him off my team. The way that team allocates ice time pisses me off so much. I hate it so much.
Okay, if we're talking about the rest of the Pacific, obviously Anaheim, San Jose, Seattle, uninteresting to me. We've talked about Calgary a lot. LA and Vegas are quite interesting this season, and I did not think LA was going to be good. I still don't really understand why they're doing as well as they're doing. I think at some point, their goaltending has to fall off, but they're getting Doughty back.
They tend to tail off a little bit. I actually think that the Doughty coming back might hurt them a little bit. Just, they've really got something going there with Clark and Mikey Anderson on the right side. It's actually doing. If you look at their defense, it should not be doing good.
No, but Gavrikov's been doing pretty well too.
Yeah,
especially
and Joel Edmondson too. He's decent.
He's not supposed to be good at all. He's
a system player. He's a system player. It's weird what happens when you move away from playing trap hockey, but they actually got better defensively. Somehow.
I have some stats here from everybody's favorite Twitter account, JFreshHockey.
Of course.
This is 5v5 expected goals percentage. Now, of all the teams in the NHL, the LA Kings are number 1 at 57.8 or 57.6%. They're number 1. Edmonton is number 7 at 53. Vancouver is 18 at 49.3%, which is to be expected. The one that surprised me, Vegas is below Vancouver by 0.1. Yeah. Vegas is 19th, 49.2. I didn't think they'd be the frauds.
They've had, frankly, good goaltending, and I think they seem to constantly do this thing early in the year where they just have a ton of 7, 8, 6 goals outings. Mark Stone, even Barbashev and Jack Eichel all had 30 points through 20 games. Something stupid like that. And it's obviously going to calm down. I mean, frankly, the Oilers owned Vegas, and they're only backed by 3 points. Vegas has a game in hand. And considering Edmonton's schedule in January and the rest of after the break, which, you know what, I'm going to read it right up. Who do you look at their schedule right now? LA, Anaheim, Utah, who is pretty decent, Anaheim, Seattle, Boston, who they already beat, Pittsburgh, they always beat them, Chicago, LA, Minnesota, Colorado, that'll be hard, Vancouver, trash, Washington, pretty good, Vancouver, Buffalo, Seattle, Detroit. They have probably at least 10 scheduled wins in there with maybe another handful. So I can see them winning basically every single game there. Obviously, they're not going to win every single game, but
yeah, no.
Those are all insanely winnable.
Vancouver's schedule coming up in the next month is also interesting because it's so easy, and then it turns really difficult really fast. So to end December, we play San Jose tomorrow. The schedule is not working with me currently. Hang on, give me a second. We play San Jose tomorrow, and then it's Seattle and Calgary on New Year's Eve. And then in January, we start off with Seattle, Nashville, Montreal. So those are 6 insanely winnable games. That's when you need to get the momentum. San Jose, Seattle, Calgary, Seattle, Nashville, Montreal. You need to get momentum.
You have to win at least 4 of those.
I'm going to be at the Montreal game, so if you're going, look out for me. But after that, it's Washington, Carolina, Toronto, Winnipeg, LA, Edmonton.
Oh my goodness.
And then it's Buffalo, easy. Edmonton, Washington again.
That is a straight gauntlet, I got to say.
So we need to win now. If we don't win at least 4 of the next 6 games, we are cooked.
Although the Oilers did go through a similar gauntlet. I saw Oilers Nation was talking about a similar thing. They played Tampa, Minnesota, Vegas, Florida, Boston 5 games in a row. And they only lost to Florida, and that was by 1 goal. So, I mean, you can tell I'm feeling pretty good about them, but man, they've beaten bad teams, and they've beaten very good teams.
I mean, they've come out with a vengeance. They clearly have something on their minds this season.
Oh, one last thing on the Pacific, actually. The Sharks, you know what? I was watching them, and I know we completely dominated them, but that Celebrini guy, and is it Celebrini or Celebrini? I like to say Celebrini, but I know it's Celebrini. That guy is amazing. That guy plays like Matt Barzal, but with a shot. You know what I mean?
am so excited for 10 years from now when both Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini come home.
That is a little insane. Back-to-back first overall picks, and they're both from Canucks land.
They're both huge Canucks fans.
Yeah. I mean, hey, they're not going to come back in 10 years. It's going to be more like 20. They're going to be a 37, and they're going to come home to play out their Patrick Marleau years.
Trust, they're going to be Pajama Boy Part 2 and 3.
Well.
No, but Celebrini is so good, and he's so fun to watch. Like, I really hope that the Canucks and Sharks periods of being good don't overlap, because I want to be able to not hate San Jose. Because San Jose just looks like they're going to have such a fun team in a couple years. And even now they have a fun team. It's not winning games, but they have a fun team. I really hope that I can cheer for them. And Celebrini, like, he's just so smart already. I mean, people have compared him to Jonathan Taves. That's an insane comparison for an 18-year-old to have.
I mean, I don't know if he's going to be that good defensively, but he might be as good or better offensively. And obviously, we do know he is a borderline already at this point, a borderline elite defensive player for an 18-year-old. He is physical. He's not tiny, but I mean, obviously, he's got a scrawny body, I'm sure. But he's physical, right? And he plays. He has such a smart defensive stick. Just watching him, it reminded me of kind of how I felt watching Draisaitl, but he's a little quicker. He has that thing that those top players have that just makes them slightly better than anyone else on the ice. That they can compete with the best. I was a little skeptical of his game right when he got picked. And, is he going to be as good in his first year? But obviously, he shut me up. He's, frankly, to me, he should win the Calder right now. If he didn't miss some of that time, I think he's easily number one. But right now, he should win it for me.
We're blessed with such a good Calder race this season. I mean, there are clearly 4 above the rest, and you can't discount Michkov having like a point per game season.
Yeah,
and then Hudson has like how many assists does he have now? Like 25.
25, yeah.
Yeah, he finally got his first goal. Oh, we were supposed to mention that Lane Hudson scored his first NHL goal about a week ago. Good work, Lane. We're proud of you.
I did see it live.
And then you got Dustin Wolf, who's also insane. Like we have one of them is going to get snubbed from the finalists.
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of sad, but all 4 of them could win it this season.
I imagine it's probably going to be the goalie, especially because Wolf has fallen off a little bit.
Probably, yeah.
It's kind of unfair to those goalies, isn't it? Because how meaningful is like a power play quarterback, top 4 defenseman compared to a starting goalie?
Yeah.
I mean, even if Dustin Wolf had like a 905, 910, if he's starting like 45, 50 games, I don't know, to me I'd personally prefer that. Even though I do like Lane Hudson. People thought I hated Lane Hudson, but he was really bad defensively to start off his career. Obviously, that's going to happen. Like, he's 19, 20 years old. What do you expect? But, man, Dustin Wolf is very good for a short king goalie. He's crazy. I don't know. It'll definitely be an interesting Calder race. But, yeah, 4 guys above the rest, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know the NHL is going to be in great hands for a while. Unlike the NBA, which is really boring.
What's happening with the NBA? I hear every single draft pick the last 4 years has just done absolutely nothing.
Wemby's cool. Other than that, like, it's just so boring to watch basketball now. I'm sorry if this is a hot take, but I mean the ratings are falling, and it's not that much of a surprise that it is boring compared to the NHL, which is, I mean, I feel like it's more fun than ever. I think it's getting better. I mean, hockey culture sucks still. I'm not talking about that. The NHL as a league is getting more fun, I think.
It really has. I mean, if you think about where the ratings were in, like, pre-McDavid years, it's like, ooh. It's honestly come a long way. I mean, 2011, 2012, 2015, NHL was irrelevant. I mean, even up until, like, 2019, 2020, kind of nobody really cared about it. But it's got back on ESPN. I mean, I feel like, and I'm going to be bragging here, I think the Oilers' playoff run did a lot of heavy carrying there, personally.
Yeah.
Especially for the ratings of the final. I mean, nobody was watching a Dallas Panthers final, let's be honest.
Nah, that would have sucked. In Canada, it definitely was a big thing, but I mean, that's just bound to happen with a Canadian team making the finals. Can you imagine if the Leafs made the finals? What a nightmare that would be.
If it was Oilers
finals
Leafs,
would be brutal.
It might happen this year.
I would love watching that, but it would be a nightmare.
I don't think I would survive that. If we lost that, I would deactivate the account tomorrow. Like,
losing to
would
Florida
never happen
because Florida only has 1 fan, and we already talked to him. So losing to them, it doesn't matter. And losing to Toronto, you have like 100,000 people in your DMs telling you to kill yourself.
Yeah, losing to Florida. I mean, we still maintain the relevance from that final because, frankly, and it's no insult. It's no insult to Florida. It's really no insult to Florida.
It's 100% an insult to Florida. Just don't even pretend.
But that final will only be nobody's going to remember that the Panthers won the cup that year. Nobody's going to remember.
It's an insult to Florida.
I'll just be honest. People are going to remember that final because McDavid lost and they came so close to coming back. That's it. I'm being frank with you. I'm sorry, Florida fans. You can take it. I'm sure Jared's listening to this maybe, but
he's not.
I hope not. Guy's gonna beat me. But man, I mean, nobody cares about that final. People were either rooting for the Oilers or they were rooting against the Oilers. Nobody was cheering for Florida.
That's pretty true, actually. I hate watching the Oilers like crazy in that series.
Wouldn't you want to say that you lost to the Cup champions? I feel like I was actually kind of low-key cheering for Vegas.
like if we lost to Nashville, I would have cheered Nashville on, but just because of how mean Edmonton fans are to me, I wanted them to suffer. I don't need the pity prize of losing to the victors. I need you guys to
true.
Suffer the way I suffered.
That's true. It's a very unique situation that way. I mean, again, that's why I was cheering for the Avs when they beat us, but that was because I kind of enjoyed Makar McKinnon, and I knew they deserved it. And I mean, winning that cup over Tampa was inevitable, so it was an easy pick. But if we lost to the Flames that year, I definitely would not cheer for them. So I kind of get what you're saying. It just depends on if they're Canadian or not. I'll say that.
Yeah, I guess. I was pretty respectful with the Predators fan base throughout that series, so I feel like they weren't going to... I mean, some of them were going to shove it in my face if they had won, but I feel like for the most part, I wouldn't have much to cheer against. But with Edmonton, I had quite a lot to cheer against, so... Okay, let's get this moving a little bit, because I'm hungry and it's almost midnight.
He wants a grilled cheese.
Do we want to talk about Buffalo? Can we get through Buffalo fast? Buffalo and New York we can group together. I'm going to do my part real fast. You want to talk about them? I'll just say the Rangers have proven me wrong. They actually just suck. Buffalo might be the most unlucky team of all time. I mean, the past 2 losses they've had, the one being because of the goaltender interference call, and then the next one being because Samuelson pushed someone into Reimer, and Boston scored with like a minute 40 left. They might actually be the most unlucky team of all time, but 13 straight losses, you can't chalk that up only to bad luck. They suck. What are your thoughts on these 2 teams?
I'm thinking about, and I'll talk about the Sabres first. I'm thinking about the decade of darkness. They haven't made the playoffs in it's going to be 14 years. 14 years.
Last time they made the playoffs, Osama bin Laden was alive.
Frankly, I wasn't really invested into the Oilers until they got McDavid. So like 2015, but I had watched pretty consistently some games from like 2012.
Bandwagon.
That's right.
Bandwagon.
You know how many awful teams I had to watch even in those few years of the decade of darkness? Even with McDavid, there were some terrible teams. 18-19, 17-18, those guys sucked. 15-16 as well. Oh my goodness. Those guys were really bad.
I watched Brendan Leipzig hockey.
Okay, but the Canucks were... Actually, maybe that's even more torturous because they'd always end up with like the 7th or 8th overall pick. Never.
Well, I mean, that worked out for us pretty well because we got Pettersson and Quinn Hughes at 5th and 7th, respectively.
True.
So it's fine.
It's solid. It works out. I mean, sometimes you do just need to draft, and, well, the Oilers didn't know how to do that.
Thank you, Judd Brackett.
Neither do the Sabres, frankly.
Judd Brackett, if you're listening to this, you're the real homie. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you for our good players.
The Sabres, man, I think I said it last time. The only possible way to get out of this is a first overall pick. That's the only possible way. You cannot trade your way out of this. I think Kevin Adams said it too, that like we don't have palm trees here, so people aren't willing to be traded here. And I don't know if you've played the new franchise mode with the new move clause, but it's very hard to get people to move to Buffalo and like Edmonton and stuff like that. So you have to get a McDavid. It all went wrong when they got Eichel instead of and frankly, you know what? If they got an Eichel level player at first overall right now, that would also work. So I think part of it is just management being absolutely stupid. But there's a pattern obviously going on here with Reinhart leaving and becoming a Selke level 50 goal scorer. Like, and there's, you just keep naming them. Ryan O'Reilly everywhere. It happens all the time. Linus Ullmark, you said?
Yeah.
And
yeah, like they're not really short for draft lottery wins. I mean, they got Dahlin in 2018. They got Power in 2021. Obviously, Power isn't the highest ranked first overall pick possible, but I mean, like, yeah, I would cheer for them in the lottery to get Hagens. I think, but I think they're cursed, man. I think they're just Buffalo.
But like the Oilers were cursed as well, and then they got McDavid, which I'm saying they need that type of luck. They need to just run into a generational player. That's genuinely. I mean, I think that was the only possible way the Oilers were getting out of that decade of darkness. So I think they're in a similar situation here, where there's literally nothing they can do.
The Oilers simply are not cursed to the level that the Buffalo Sabres are. You can date it back to 1999, foot in the crease. Nothing goes right for that franchise. You can't compare Edmonton's 5-year struggle with Buffalo's 50-year struggle.
You remember when James Neal scored 19 goals and they gave the Flames the 3rd-round pick for him scoring 20? That still pisses me off. They did not give McDavid the Calder. They didn't give Nugent Hopkins the Calder. They didn't say that Gretzky was eligible for the Calder. They almost blocked a deal to the Oilers multiple times. Frankly, I mean, the Oilers are not that cursed, but they're top 3 cursed up until now. I'll say McDavid, we'll take it.
They don't touch Buffalo. They're not close.
And that's a testament to how awful
Buffalo is. Lotteries. You won 4 lotteries in a decade, and you're saying you're cursed?
And you know what? You said they got Dahlin, they got Power. Give them a couple more. And then we'll see. Once they have 4, I mean, there's going to be Yakupov in there. If history tells us anything, that's going to be the next one. So, James Haggins, sorry, buddy. You're gone. KHL for you. But after that, Michael Misha the year after, that's their McDavid. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, this game, this team pisses me off with how bad they are. How do they still have fans? Frankly, why is anyone buying season tickets?
We should have Sabres access on the pod and have him answer these questions.
If I was a fan of the Sabres, I'd genuinely be depressed. No joke, they would really upset me.
I think I'm pretty confident that they are. I don't know if you've looked in on Sabres Nation recently, but if you scroll through my comments on the Buffalo Sabres Win Watch posts, I think I'm pretty confident they are depressed. Man, I don't think you have to worry about them not reacting to this the way you would. They are depressed.
I mean, okay, think about this. How do you react when you have a good young player come in, a top 10 overall pick, and they're doing good, and they come into the NHL, and then they do solid? That makes you happy, right?
Yes.
If you're Buffalo and another Dylan Cousins comes in, a number 9 overall pick, and he scores 50 points or whatever, what does that do for you? That doesn't make you happy. You've seen this before. You've seen this 20 times before. Nothing makes you happy again. You're depressed.
Precisely.
I couldn't do it if I was a Sabres fan. I just couldn't do it.
No, I couldn't do it either. So, I mean, it's Christmas season. It's a time to, be thankful for what we have.
Let's be thankful we're not Sabres fans.
Is not the Buffalo Sabres. Even though I'm pissed at my team right now, it could always be worse unless you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, in which case it does not get worse.
Yep. If you're ever too sad, girlfriend broke up with you, you failed school, you got fired, just remember, you're not a Sabres fan.
You're not a Sabres fan, unless you are a Sabres fan, in which case it's over for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you get fired and your girlfriend breaks up with you and you're a Sabres fan,
I think God hates you.
I think God hates you.
Let's go to the questions.
Yeah. All right.
What are the questions?
So, this is a nice one. It's a nice, cozy Christmas. That has nothing to do with this question, by the way. Most surprising good team and most surprising bad team from Haymore 97.
Okay, well, this is pretty easy. I mean, I have 2 answers for both of these.
2 answers? You got 4 teams.
I do. So, it's I'm surprised they're this good, and I'm surprised they're this bad, and then I'm surprised they're good at all, and I'm surprised they're bad at all. I'm surprised the Capitals are that good. They're first in the league in point percentage. They're actually a really good team too. The analytics also are in their favor. Obviously, they're they're getting kind of lucky, but they are a good team, and I did not think they would be first in the league in point percentage, especially after such an embarrassing playoff appearance this year. Like, adding Pierre-Luc Dubois worked. What? And then Utah, I'm surprised they're good at all. They're actually making me nervous. They are a good team.
They are decent.
Easily steal our playoff spot, and I'm now worried. The New York Rangers, I'm surprised that they are bad at all. I didn't think they'd be this bad, especially after a President's Trophy winning season. Like, you would expect them to regress a little bit, probably, from a President's Trophy winning season, but not to the point where they might not even make playoffs at all. I mean, they're currently 5 points out of playoffs. They have a game in hand on Ottawa, but still, even if they win that, they're 3 points out of playoffs. The team that I'm surprised they're that bad is Nashville. I mean, I thought they'd be good. So, I'm surprised they're bad at all, but I'm surprised they are that bad. Like, lottery area team.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree with that, but I'm gonna have two slightly different picks than that. And I know they're in the standings. They're not doing amazing, but I'm gonna say Columbus. I am really surprised at how great they are offensively. They're a legitimate top 10 team in like creating chances and goal scoring. Where did that come from?
They're a very good home team.
Just by adding Sean Monahan. It's kind of insane. Now they are 13, 15, and 6, but basically, 24th in the league. Yeah. If you look at any of the predictions, basically everybody thought they'd finish 32nd. They thought Chicago, Buffalo, San Jose, Detroit would take a step, but no. And I'm not going to say that I'm most surprised that the Rangers are bad, because the year before this, I had them missing the playoffs. So I knew something bad was going to happen soon. I didn't think it was going to happen this early, and I figured they'd be, at worst, a wild card team, like a top 16 team, still playoffs. But now, I mean, in that East, I don't think it's going to happen. They'd have to, frankly, they'd only have to catch the Senators or Pittsburgh, I believe, for the second wild card. Tampa. Or Tampa, yeah. They're not catching Tampa. I'll tell you that Pittsburgh, right now. Oh,
I guess you're saying Pittsburgh and Ottawa are battling for that, but Ottawa's definitely better than Pittsburgh.
Man, that second wild card. I mean, the Senators are decent now, but wow, that sucks. It's between the Senators, the Pittsburgh Flyers, the Rangers, and the Islanders.
I'm definitely cheering for Ottawa to get that.
Absolutely.
It would be kind of fun to be able... the playoff ticket prices couldn't be too bad in Ottawa, I think. Like, if I'm paying $200 for Upper Bowl, I would do that to see a playoff game.
Yeah, $200 probably. Maybe a little bit less for a first-round series. Maybe, even if it's the first time in, like, half a decade, it would still be reasonable, I'd say. But for my most surprising bad team, I gotta say the Sabres. I thought I was actually picking them out of the bunch of Detroit, Buffalo, and the Senators. I was picking them to make the playoffs. They looked like they had the pieces, and it just fell apart.
I don't see your vision. They had Zucker in their top 6. Ottawa's top 6 is like actually really good. Ottawa is actually a decent defensive team. They don't get enough credit for it. They're actually a solid defensive team. And Ullmark, I mean, he unfortunately had to leave the game with an injury today, but he had been turning it around a little bit, and they had 6 straight wins. Their forwards are producing. Pinto's coming back a little bit too. They have a very good team. So I'm hoping that they can get a playoff spot this year. My last year in Ottawa, I would love to see them play in the playoffs before I go. Before we move on to the last question, did you have anything else to say about Buffalo?
Yeah. You think they could be bad, but did you think they would be 32nd in the league? Be honest.
I definitely didn't think they'd lose 13 fucking games in a row.
Yeah, my bad. I really didn't account for the 13-game losing streak. I'm sorry. I didn't. Should have thought about that, frankly.
Yeah, no, I didn't think they'd be like that bad. I didn't think they'd be worse than Montreal. I thought Montreal was like a shoo-in for 8th in the Atlantic. I can't believe people want St. Louis canned, and they're 6th in the Atlantic when they should be 8th.
I mean, they've kind of turned it around scoring wise since Laine's come back. Yeah,
Patty Laine,
huge aura.
The goat.
He is amazing.
No, I didn't think they would be making the playoffs this year at all. They started off the season pretty well though. They were above 500 point percentage at one point, and then I think that was once they got to the 500 point percentage, they were like, okay, let's lose 13 in a row.
They wanted the wheels fell off the bus. Yeah.
Okay, so before we move on to the last question, neither of us said this team, but I feel like we have to at least mention them. Dallas is not doing well recently at all.
Are they really not? I haven't noticed.
They are not playing well.
Oh my goodness! Wait, what? They're 16th in the league.
Yeah, no, they are not playing well.
Where did that come from?
Their defense doesn't look that good. They've lost Sagan.
Hold on. They're not even in the playoffs.
No. I mean, in terms of point percentage, they're above both Calgary and Vancouver and Colorado, but you still got to win those games. I am shocked that they are not doing well.
Yeah, I am. I'm shocked. I'm shocked I haven't heard about that. They're 16th in the league.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be a contender, this team. But
yeah. I think they can. I mean, it's just tough with the injuries. Like, they were good to start the season, and like that line of, I think it was Marchment, Sagan, Duchesne was like scoring at least a goal per game for them.
Oh yeah, 2 goals.
So like, yeah, no, losing Sagan is awful, and it was kind of cool to see Sagan have such a good season. So
yeah, it's a big comeback here, but
yeah, their defense looks like shit though.
Frankly, you know what? We actually should have seen that coming. That the right side is made up of bums, and they fall off. I mean, Heiskan's not scoring again, but yeah, we'll move on to the last question here, and because it's Christmas, we gotta have a Christmas question here. This one is the best Christmas song and why, from KN Zen. You want to go first?
Yeah. So I have some honorable mentions. One of them is "She's Right on Time" by Billy Joel. I'm a big Billy Joel fan. Got to shout that out. It's a fun song. One of them is one of the songs off the Tinashe Christmas album.
She has a Christmas album?
She does. It's only 18 minutes long. One of the songs, "God Rest You Merry Gentlemen," that's the cover. She does like a trap cover. It's fucking ass.
I got to hear this.
The other 5 songs on it are fun. They're true to the spirit of Christmas. I really like those. But my number one Christmas song, the one that I love to go back to around December, "On That Time" by Playboi Carti.
It's not a Christmas song!
Whole Lot of Red dropped on Christmas. It is a Christmas album. It is a Christmas song. If Die Hard is a Christmas movie, Whole Lot of Red...
It's not a Christmas movie! Okay, I'll tell you this. Is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets a Christmas movie?
No, it has like a Christmas scene. Like Mean Girls has a Christmas scene.
Exactly.
The best Christmas song is "On That Time" by Playboi Carti. It came out on Christmas.
You muted your mic. Hold on.
What?
Okay, you're fine now.
I think I just peeked. The cover, it's called "Whole Lot of Red." What could be more Christmas than that? Red is like one of the main colors.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not switching my answer. The best Christmas song is "On That Time" by Playboi Carti.
If it's not even the best song on that album anyway. If you're not gonna give me a serious answer, I am. The best Christmas song.
I gave you serious honorable mentions.
And okay, the best. I'm gonna since you took your liberty here, I'm gonna give you an honorable mention here too. What's the song called again? We'll cut this out because that's embarrassing. I need to find it. It's the SpongeBob Christmas song.
No, it's valid though. Oh, I really like the I like the "Good Luck Charlie" Christmas song, the one that was made for the movie. I'm gonna run, 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 run. I'm gonna run to you. Never fall behind you. I swear these words are true. I'm gonna run, run, run.
Voice of an angel. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I forget the name of I think it's just called SpongeBob Christmas Song, but that is the GOAT. It's shaping up to be a wonderful holiday. I love that one. But my actual answer, and people are going to hate it. I'm sorry, but it's All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. I'm sorry. It's so good.
I would have one of my like storming out of the room reactions to that. It is fun. At least it's the most boring pick that you could ever have said there, I think.
I just like it. It's a chocolate chip cookie. It's a black coffee. It works. I don't know how that.
Not need to pause there.
That's not what I meant. Well, that's not staying in.
You better keep that shit in.
That's not staying in.
Better keep that shit in.
A black coffee. Black. All I Want for Christmas is the GOAT Christmas song. I'm sorry, I don't work retail, so I frankly don't understand the struggles.
Okay, that's fair then. I'm not really into Christmas music. I'm a Grinch. I don't really like Christmas at all.
I love Christmas. Do you see this sweater? I love Christmas. I can't believe you.
Sorry. On that time, Boy Cardi.
You're going to get coal for Christmas. Well, speaking of Christmas, Merry Christmas to you all. That was episode 11. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all.
Happy holidays. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope. Well, happy Hanukkah. Happy anything else. I hope that you have a great holiday season. And if you don't celebrate anything, then I hope you aren't a Buffalo Sabres fan.
See you all next time.